Okej, no to może już. Odśwież. Okay, guys, we're about to start in a second. Just usual question for everyone. Can you hear and see me well? Yep, thank you, Jakub. I was worrying. Okay, let's wait a second and we're gonna get started. Okay, thank you guys, welcome. Okay, let's wait a second more and we'll start. Okay, so if you hear me and see me well, that's perfect. I think we can get it rolling. So welcome everyone. Welcome on another Bluerank on our webinar. My name is Marta Gryniewicz and I'm a part of international expansion team here at Bluerank. At the same time, I'm in charge of C Digital Alliance operations. And today I have a really big pleasure to lead and run this webinar. I'm joined today by 6 experts from peak performing agencies in C region. So let's see them. Hi, Ionuț, can you see us?
Yeah, I'm here. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for
from WebDigital Romania. Radim, Kracik from Effectix, Czech Republic. Hi, Radim. Tadej, Glavan from Slovenia, Kokos agency. Hello, Tadej. László, Szabó from Growww Hungary.
Greetings, everyone.
And Andrej, Salner from Basta Digital, Slovakia.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. And last but not least, Zbigniew Nowicki, well known to you from, of course, Bluerank, Poland.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry. Okay, guys, so I will, before I will pass the mic to Zbigniew, I will walk you through our agenda and the topic a bit. So I'm sure that by now you have seen a lot of webinars dedicated to pandemic, crisis, and you know, how to basically weather the whole storm. But today our webinar will put more focus on the future and kind of so-called reopening phase that we are in right now. And I think it will be really valuable because we will have opportunity to listen and to hear the perspective of other European countries, agencies. So in my opinion, that is really valuable. Okay, so first we will just really, at the beginning, we will just briefly recap kind of our experience, the guest experience from the lockdown. Afterwards, each guest will take floor by turn and elaborate more regarding perspective for the future, regarding their opinion about e-commerce, customer journey, how to uptake a client. It will be a lot of various aspects that we will touch upon. And of course, afterwards, we will allocate some time for question and answer, but you don't have to wait until the end of the session. Feel free to add a question or comments in the section down below, and we will, be happy. I will be happy to read it and to learn more. Okay, and now I think I can pass the mic to Zbigniew. Zbigniew will briefly introduce you to CE Digital Alliance.
Marta, thank you for your introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy that our next digital webinar based on the experience of members of CE Digital Alliance met with such a wide interest. And first of all, my big thanks, of course, for our guest speakers that join us today. Believe it or not, those people are really busy with growing their businesses in Slovakia, Czech, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and of course, Poland. And having an hour of their time and the possibility to hear their opinion is really priceless. So let me give you just a brief introduction. What is the Alliance about? Around 3 years ago, Bluerank and 14 other top digital independent agencies from Eastern Europe got together and formed a partnership of collaboration, project cooperation, and knowledge share. The main objective of the Alliance is quite obvious and focuses on cross-business support and local markets expertise. But the very important side benefit of collaboration together is to share different experiences from all the markets that are represented within the Alliance. And this is something we want to share with you today, focusing more not what happened during COVID-19, because I think we all know it already, but what kind of impact COVID-19 will have on digital industry and what does it mean for all of us and the digital marketing budgets in particular. So you will hear and see different point of views, and you will see also different arguments during today's webinar. And in my opinion, that's the biggest advantage that comes out of the international partnerships. Marta, the voice is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I will divide us into groups, since we cannot be in 7 people on the screen. So let's do that, guys. So the first part of a question and kind of a roundup and warm-up question. So the virus is with us, like I would say, for the past 3 months now. And all things considered, if you have to single out one thing that has worked out for you, or one thing that maybe didn't come off as you expected, maybe something surprised you, László.
Yep, thank you. With WebDigital, I have to say we're heavily involved with CE e-commerce players, or mainly e-commerce players in Hungary, in the regions around us. In the past few months, what really surprised us, or we did not expect, is to commit really as sudden, the whole thing. And the other thing what surprised us is that e-commerce players or digital players, digitalized players, reacted quite quickly. So their response was really, really superb. On this, first, there was, a way, and I'm going to show you graphs later on it, how they reacted in terms of marketing investments and how the market demand has adjusted. And we see that this kind of adaptation is the key for thriving in the future, in the short term and in the long term. What most of the digital companies and the companies who also began or in the process of digitalization, that they is basically part of their DNA, and this is going to be key in survival.
Thank you. Andrej?
Thank you very much, Marta. I come from Basta digital marketing agency in Bratislava, Slovakia, and one thought that has really struck me, or one effect that I have seen as a surprise, is that there's this saying that is apparently used among emergency responders in emergency response communities, and they say that crisis is not the time to exchange business cards. That if you suddenly find yourself facing a crisis, then it's not a good time to start new partnerships, but it's really a time to fall back on what you have built already. And we have seen a lot of this both with our clients, but also with their clients. And we have seen that where you already have a level of trust, you are able to pivot and act much more effectively and much faster. And it's really stuck with me. I've seen a lot of even past clients return with requests, especially because they have seen that now in the time of a crisis, it's really a good time to build on relationships that we already have.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Ionuț.
Now, thank you for the invite. Now, I'd like to say that for some sectors in the business world, it's highly unlikely to even think to make remote work the new norm. Now, this is also the reason these businesses are and have been the most disrupted by the crisis. Now, all the major businesses that are prone to proximity are most likely unable to operate remote. Now, you would think that in this troubled times, now digital marketing agencies and the entire IT sector, for that matter, would be the absolute best sector to work in. And for a company like ours, WebDigital, that has built a culture from early on with a strong internal training program focused on building skills like collaborative work, time management, agile project management, email processing, and even a bit of Japanese-inspired work-life culture balance, you would imagine that working remote would be a piece of cake. Well, we are privileged, I give you that. And it paid off to have the skills, the tools, and the mindset to work independently, but collectively, at least for a while. But yesterday, one of our colleagues sent me a picture from his apartment window, where two tall condominium buildings stood shadowing his window. Now, the message wrote, "I miss so much coming back to the office." Now, I mean, we did choose our office to be located in a beautiful and quiet neighborhood next to what is called the Kotrocen National Museum, which is the old royal palace, a building used by Nicolae Ceausescu himself as a guest house with lots of trees, no tall buildings, and very little traffic. Now, we have always been highly digitalized, almost forever, having worked with CRM software, task management software, media buying, web analytics, and budget management software, wikis, and so on. And with this software ecosystem in place and skills built to help maintain and improve performance, you would imagine that it takes no difference. It makes no difference whether we work from home or from the office. Well, if you have the freedom to choose from time to time, it is comfortable to jump from bed and work remotely in your PJs. But if you have to do it daily and everybody in your team does it, you need a total different mindset. You become sort of a digital nomad, which works for some people, but you need to learn new skills. And in this moment of change and uncertainty, all people are inclined to listen to funny facts like the employer wants to keep you home to cut down costs, which is a danger to the mind and to productivity. And you see, even now, as I am sending this message to you guys, all of you are officially listening, but I will let each of you judge how much attention you actually paid to my message. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to next group. Guys, so same question, really briefly, Zbigniew, what would be your kind of experience or something that surprised you in a nutshell?
Yes, from my own perspective, I can say that the present time allows us to become better humans, both as individuals and as a society. We have more time for the loved ones, for ourselves, for the family, so meaning the loved ones again. And over the past 2 months, as the result of a longer presence at home, so it's a kind of a contradiction what Ionuț said actually just a moment before, we have been able to break out of the pattern where we saw each other at breakfast, dinner, and in the weekends. That was actually kind of my story. I believe that many of us have benefited from the crisis, although not everyone is aware of it yet. And privately, I think even my dog took advantage of it. I take him for a walk more often than usual. The dog does not have to stay alone and wait until the evening, because his whole pack stays with him throughout the day. Thank you.
Definitely the dog will be surprised after the reopening. Tadej, how about you?
Hello. So I think there is just one data that's really interesting in Slovenia. So before COVID, there's like, you need to know that 75% online orders are cash on delivery. So during the COVID, I think it was on 15th of March, the government banned in Slovenia cash on delivery because it might be something with viruses. So that was the biggest change in Slovenian market. So the people or the companies should the first thing they didn't have is many options on online payment, because 75% took it cash on delivery. We had like some bank accounts, PayPal, and that's it. So they were adding new payment options. The second thing was that elderly people in Slovenia have money, and they are usually doing cash on delivery, or they went to physical shops. And now it just changed. The elderly people with the money were buying online, and the amounts or the cash flow for companies was huge, 1 times bigger than the younger people. So they needed to change the focus, not just targeting the young people online, but targeting basically elderly people, but giving them all the payment options they have, and giving them all the support on phone, on emails, and maybe the online chat on the web shop. And that was the biggest changes in Slovenia and for e-commerce.
Great, thank you, Radim.
Yeah, thank you, Marta, for the question. What really worked for Effectix and even for our clients was simplifying of our services. During the Corona lockdown, our clients needed fast and effective solutions, which we offered to them, because there was no time for a complex planning. So we bet on the fast strategy changes and simple products. Other thing we learned from 1 month of total remote work is that the personal contact is indispensable in the longer term. Remote work was okay from a project point of view. There were no issues connected with the task completion or workflow. There was another problem, like gestures, poses, or small facial expressions. These things disappeared from remote communication, or maybe our subconscious didn't recognize them. And the lack of these signals cannot be transmitted through technology caused a lot of misunderstandings and quarrels. And that was the main reason we decided to end our self-quarantine after just 1 month.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this. Okay, and now let's move on to kind of a second part. Zbigniew, I would start with maybe the question, because we talk a lot about new reality, what is going to be, what the customer journey would look like, but what, according to you, is exactly like this new reality?
Yeah. So basically, the answer to the question, what will be next? Ladies and gentlemen, from the perspective of customer journey. Consumers have experienced 6 stages of behavior during the pandemic, and this is defined in detail in the latest report from Nielsen. I want to just skip the 5 stages because they refer to the past situation, what happened, and actually focus on kind of a, let's say, prediction, what's in front of us. First of all, I want to say that it's really difficult to predict what will be the future in this uncertain moment. For example, we don't know if this is almost over, or should we expect the return of COVID by the end of this year. This makes any prediction, either numeric or just general, to be considered as only my personal opinion and my predictions only. So first of all, I want to say that out of all consequences, in my opinion, the digital industry was slightly affected. There are other segments that were terribly affected, but should we be happy then? I'm not sure. Of course, there are categories that are heavily damaged, like travel, for example. But in general, due, for example, to the latest report from ADEX, despite all the slowdown in digital marketing spending, there is still growth in digital marketing spending in Q1 2020. I must say that the disruption was super fast at the beginning of COVID, and this gave us a big momentum. I think everyone knows that what was expected to happen over the next 5 years due to the pandemic took just 2 weeks to implement and deploy. That was the immediate transformation. I think the whole global market is expected to return to normal as with every crisis. Take as an example the internet bubble, take as an example the real estate crash. After approximately 3 years, the global market recovered. So if you expect, that's the kind of a flag from my side. If you expect that the new now will arrive next month, and July, that's the new reality, you are probably wrong. You will have to wait and be patient. Regarding the stabilization of the global market, it's up to 3 years. But the good news is that digital is expected to be back to normal and in line with the pre-COVID momentum and growth trend in either Q4 of this year or Q1 of 2021, the latest. You may ask a question why digital will recover faster than traditional media, for example. And the answer is because of 3 main reasons. First of all, what was said today already, it is the most agile and the most flexible marketing channel. Second thing is money-wise marketing budget spendings. And also the third one that we touched a little bit already is the explosion in e-commerce popularity, new users and new orders. What happened for the consumers who were afraid, scared, or just conservative about online shopping, they basically had no other options and they went online. Once they tried it, once they transformed, most of them will remain as active users and recurrent shoppers, basically. So when you take a look at the statistics, the growth of the e-commerce market in Europe was 20% quarter to quarter, and in last 3 months it rocketed up between 50 to 80%, depending on the category. And we talk here especially about the countries that are the most affected by COVID, like Italy and Spain. What's next? Of course, there are quite evident stable trends such as self-cooking, increased hygiene, and rapid development of e-commerce. And they are common to many markets, and they will remain even if we are done with COVID. We also will transfer more actively towards cloud-based services. This transformation actually has started already before COVID-19, but in fact, it accelerated rapidly during the pandemic. So therefore, collaborative software, collaborative applications and tools that use the cloud service and origin of operation will become a commodity solution.
Thank you, Zbigniew. My appearance means that we have to move on. Okay, let's see. The floor is yours. I think we can dive into like e-commerce right now. I know that you and the Growww digital team compiled facts and figures regarding e-commerce sector. So I would love to hear that, and could you share?
Yep. Let me please share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing it right, just 2 more seconds.
Yeah.
Yep, you should see my screen. Please tell me if you do so.
Yep. Perfect.
Yep. So with Growww Digital, we collected. We're working with a lot of e-commerce players, as I said, and we collected data from them, and we published it on a public dashboard. I'll show you later. But first, I'm going to talk about a bit about dinosaurs, because when we take a look into our Earth history, there have been a few occasions where circumstances have changed drastically, and it was a time at the end of the era of dinosaurs when the meteor hit the Mother Earth, and everything has changed. And after that, nothing has been as has been before. So I would compare this fact in terms of digitalization and in terms of e-commerce to what's happening right now with the Corona times. As you can recall, as Simon Sinek said, that after the Corona situation, we will be back to abnormal. So it's going to be a whole different new world afterwards. For those who know me, you know that I'm a man of numbers. So here we can see on our Growww Digital client portfolio of 60 e-commerce players. The sessions and conversion rate comparison. First week of January is 100%, and we can see the relative change. So that means that at the end of March or the mid-March, it started to rise, and at the beginning of April, it pretty much skyrocketed, the number of sessions. So people started to search online, and I can just confirm what Bishak said, that we saw a lot of new online buyers on the market for our clients. And despite that, the number of sessions have risen, conversion rate has also has been increased, meaning that there have been more and more relevant buyers on the market than before. The second thing, here we can see the transactions, and the transaction revenue is totally in line with the sessions and the conversion value. After basically in 1 month's time, in 4 weeks' time, the number of transactions and transaction revenue kind of doubled. We can see a smaller setback for the past few weeks, but that's simply just not on the level that it has been before. I'm going to talk about that a bit later. On the other hand, we see that e-commerce players reacted pretty rapidly and quick, which is good news. So after a few weeks of being cautious at the beginning of March and in the mid-March, they started to invest more heavily because they saw the opportunity in it, meaning that their Google ad spend has nearly risen by 50%. And this is on the data of 150 e-commerce players running the ROI Miner Google Ads audit. I have a CE comparison where we can see that the countries, in terms of Google Ads costs, they do not really differ, and in terms of trend, they follow each other. Maybe there are two differences. The first one is the Czech Republic, and the e-commerce players in Czech Republic, they are more cautious. They have been more cautious, so they took back more than the others have, and even in the past 2 weeks, they are doing it the same. So they might be a good indicator to see what's coming and what to expect afterwards. And they are a bit more pessimistic with turning up the knobs and spending more after the revenues and the transaction come. And the second is Polish e-commerce companies. For some reason, I really don't know. They lagged a bit in terms of reaction in this comparison. Yet you can find more public information. This is a public dashboard for growdigital.com/COVID. These graphs here, we update that every week. Main question is what's next. I think that we have a positive outlook for e-commerce both in the short and the long run. Before the COVID situation or in the middle of the COVID situation, we just thought that it's going to be positive in the long run. Now we can see it's going to be positive in the short run because of the first online buyers that appeared on the market, and they still remain because of multiple reasons. That it's just more comfortable. They see the advantages of that. Of course, a few of them are going to diminish and go back to offline, but it's going to stay on a higher level than it has been in the pre-COVID situation. We can see that Czech market is the most cautious. It's a very good indicator to see those numbers on the dashboard. I advise you to do that. And what's really next? What happened? If you can recall the dinosaurs and your studies from your book as a child, I love dinosaurs and everything around that. We can remember the dinosaurs are extinct, except for maybe in the films of Jurassic Park. And after that, the meteor hit the Earth. It was not a sudden situation, but it was a matter of weeks, months, years, 10 years that they started to extinct, and the era of mammals came. And the key thing with mammals was adaptation. So mammals were the ones who could adapt to the situation a lot better than dinosaurs did. So in this metaphor of mine, the dinosaurs are the companies that are not following digitalization. They're not keeping up with the pace and don't think that this is a significant thing. And the mammals are the ones that can adapt quickly and adjust to the situation as soon as it's possible. Thank you for that.
Thank you. That's really, I would say, positive outcome and surprising in terms of dinosaurs, but I would say correct. Thank you. Okay, now I will pass the mic to Andrej.
Thank you very much, Marta, and thank you very much, László. I'd like to connect a little bit with what Zbigniew talked about the changes that are here to stay. And I'd like to identify a few opportunities that those changes present for us in the area of digital marketing. So I will be a little more tactical than my colleagues. I will be a little less forward-thinking, and I will talk about things the opportunities that have arisen and that we can look at today and basically use to our advantage in the field of digital marketing. As Zbigniew discussed in greater detail, consumer needs have changed, and there are two types of changes. There are changes that are immediate and that are probably short-term in nature, and that are very closely related to the government measures in place in the various countries and to how those are changing and adapting to the epidemiological situation. Reacting to those changes is very important for businesses, because one of the key needs that consumers have at this time is to have access to accurate and timely information. So I think anyone who works in digital marketing has had the experience of having to invest time over the past few months in updating websites, updating profiles in Google My Business, updating information on Facebook profiles, where even a little effort of actually showing potential clients that the information has been updated, that we are reflecting the COVID-19 situation and so on, actually puts us apart from the competition. And we have actually seen a lot of examples of businesses that sort of thought that, well, we are continuing the delivery of our products or services as usual, so there is no need to put up special COVID-19 information, and that's actually a potential mistake, because the consumers need to be reassured. So these are the immediate changes, but as Zbigniew said, some of the changes in consumer behavior, some of the changes in preferences are actually expected to be much longer lasting and are here to stay. And it is those changes I want to talk about, and about the opportunities that they bring. Because if you think about the fact that there has been this sudden shift in consumer preferences and in consumer behavior, it creates a significant opportunity in the area of how we communicate, and in the area of content we communicate. Under normal circumstances, if you work, let's say, in content marketing or search engine optimization, you know that trends are very long term, that search behavior rarely changes from one day to another, but it's usually a long-term trend that often takes years to gain momentum and to resolve itself. Unlike that situation, in the current situation, the search behavior and the overall online behavior of consumers has basically changed from one day to another. And what that means is that unlike in a usual situation where if we want to produce content and we want to deliver that content with value to consumers, it's a very long-term process. So if let's say we start a major content marketing project with a search engine optimization component, we usually plan for 9 months, for 12 months, for a year and a half, for a long-term period before we expect the benefits of that project to accrue. And that math has really changed significantly right now, because basically there are such new consumer needs and all along the consumer journey that if we identify those needs and if we produce good quality content that reflects those needs, we are able to get that information to consumers not within 6 or 12 months, but really at a much faster rate. So if we look at our business area and we identify what the new lasting needs are, we are basically able to respond to those needs, create content that responds to those needs, and deliver that content to consumers much more rapidly. I want to stress that that's an opportunity that doesn't come very often, because, as I say, most of the time, if you deal, let's say, with search engine optimization, you know that it's unrealistic to expect sort of very rapid gains, and if you are a new market entrant, it's just not realistic to get ahead of brands that have developed content over a long period of time. And this is something that has changed. So for new players, for anyone who has the flexibility, for someone who either is not a major corporation or has internal processes set up in such a way that they can pivot their content strategy fast, now is an opportunity to identify the areas where consumers are looking for things that they did not look for before, and to create content in those areas and to place that content in front of consumers. So final thing I want to stress is that this is something that happens all along the consumer journey. So there are opportunities for content for consumers who don't know us yet, where we can basically bring them information that will help them discover us. And there are such opportunities for consumers who are in the consideration stage and also in the final stages of the shopping process. And I see you, Marta, and I think that's a signal that my time is up.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, it's a signal, but thank you. Thank you a lot, Andrej. Now let's move on to Radim. Or maybe before we do that, are there any questions like at this point to László, to Andrej, or Zbigniew? If so, please comment in the section. If not, we can move on. Cannot see for now. Okay, so Radim, let's kind of turn our attention a bit into client and agency relations. Do you think this will kind of change, will be different, and have we learned any kind of lessons?
Yeah, colleague László already mentioned that. In general, I think the most important word is adaptability, and I think it will be more and more important. It worked on both our agency side and client side, who was able to react fast and adapt quickly to the current situation. One, adaptation had several different forms we saw. Some of our e-commerce clients changed their product portfolio according to the current needs of the market. For example, if there was huge demand for disinfectants, they started selling these products. It, of course, worked perfectly, but just in a short time frame. But this change ensured that they were able to continue with their businesses without any significant loss. We have also changed the argumentation towards our clients about marketing investments. Marketing investments during the crisis will, of course, lower overall profitability. But after the crisis, these investments ensure significant growth of market share for the clients. That's why we say them invest despite the crisis. Another form of adaptability we saw was a quick reaction in terms of human costs, or when some businesses closed immediately. I know it's sad every time is someone fired or business is closed for a reason that they can't affect. On the other hand, this situation showed the true condition of the business. A lot of businesses that were near to death recovered thanks to the steps they were forced to make. And another sad thing we realized is that our government won't help anybody. No company except the biggest ones with so-called strategic importance can rely on government's help. It differs from country to country, but in Czech Republic, it would be absolutely foolish to connect the company's future with any help from the government. We have even one experience of adaptation in our agency. As I said before, we changed our product portfolio and attitude in a few days. We switched to complete remote work in one day. After 1 month, we get back to the offices during the 1 week. For other example is that at the beginning of the year, we changed our team structure, but we left it during the crisis because previous structure was better for difficult times. And that's the adaptability which will become a necessity for more and more companies. And I think this could redefine the role of digital agencies because internet ensured that the impact of lockdown was not as hard as it could have been. The lockdown speeded up the change of society towards the digital environment. And we, as digital agencies, should take part in the upcoming huge change. The online environment is natural for us. We have know-how, we have habits, processes, and best practices proven by time. So I think we as digital agencies should take part in digital transformation of other companies. That's my point of view.
Thank you, Radim, for that. Okay, and now let's move on to Tadej. Okay, I can see you now, Tadej, in the Kokos. So I know, Tadej, that from the fact that this rampant crisis really took a toll on you and the Kokos agency, since a lot of your clients were from tourism sector. So I also know that you kind of a bit reinvent your agency by applying some new sales techniques. So I would love to hear about that. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. First thing I would like just to start that businesses will get back to normal, but this normal is not the same normal that we're used to. So basically what we saw is that the companies that are investing in marketing are investing more carefully, and we are spending 50% more time in communicating and making plans with the client. So we saw that the clients need really good help from digital experts in this case. So as Marta mentioned, in the let's say in May, we started even more aggressively, not just that the sales people are calling new clients, they're asking them, do you want, I see you are selling some medical stuff, please, we could help you. No, we need to have like proper briefs. So we made that all employees, even the designers, even the guys who are managing the campaigns, we just sat down and said, it's our company basically, so we need to get new sales, we need to help other companies, because a lot of our clients were from tourism sector, car dealers, and restaurants and bars, and basically all of them were like banned from government support. So we need to find some new revenue stream. It was really simple. Just sit down. Designer is always doing the designs for the client, and he's seeing other graphics, other designs, and other ads. So he, from his perspective, could see, okay, this ad is okay, but I can see that this can be implemented better by using their logo here, better call to action button, and so on. And this was like they had to find 3 clients that they saw the current that they're not doing their best. So some guy was doing the new research for one client and saw, look, their Google search let's say bad ads for Google search, not optimized, the biddings are too high, and so on. And we just made like a good brief. So the guy who's making the campaigns made a brief for our salesperson. So when our sales guy talked, it was like not just make a call to get a meeting, but it was make a call to help client now. So take his 15 or 20 minutes and help him, give him advice now. If he is interested in working with us, he will call us back. But if the advice will be okay, maybe you will help him and then he will call us back maybe later when he will need us. So that was one thing, and we increased our sales for 15% in May, which is basically still, let's say, in the COVID section, if we compare the sales before COVID. So that was one let's say, a good thing to do. That I need to say, it's not just the sales people that are selling in the company, it's everyone. The guys who are basically doing the campaigns are seeing more ads daily than the salespersons in our company. So the second thing, because we saw now in the last 14 days that we need to spend a lot more time with communicating with clients, not just getting the campaigns online on time. We just focused, so me as a manager, focus on debureaucratizing the whole company. So next week we are starting that when the client says that the plan is okay, it's everything automated from the billing, from the start of the campaign, and basically the automation is made till cash is on our bank account. So in the invoices, the after invoices, everything is automated. The meaning is that my salespeople will not be losing time by writing some stuff, writing long reports and so on, but communicating with the clients. And the thing here is that we are in this new world, and even we as an agency are seeing some new stuff, new let's say new channels like TikTok happen, but this is nothing with COVID. And some Google ads are doing better, some not. Google is always banning some new medical stuff, so the people will be not paying for something that will not get. So basically, I'm trying to tell my salespeople that spend a lot of time with clients, because you need to teach them what are the options, and the client is currently in some new stage. He's not used to the customers. Maybe they're the same customers, maybe he was focused on new customers, maybe now because of COVID the customers will change. So we as an agency need to get knowledge from the services, from the companies that are basically working with us. Let's say, for example, I had like my client, because I was swimming teacher for 10 years, the swimming pools were closed, and are still closed. I think they will be till September, so they could start new schools. So they don't know, can they advertise, can they not advertise, what would they do? So I am basically in a weekly call with them to see, okay, what government tell you to do and what the government tell you not to do, and so on. Because as an agency, you cannot just read all the government plans for all the segments. You just, okay, I know what is happening in the digital market area or marketing area. but we need to talk with the clients because they know what has happened, what are the major changes in their company. Some of them needs to have masks when they're entering. Some clients, will not be able to come because of some crisis and so on. So that is the process. Communicate, because just the company has changed and the agency has changed. So communicate to get the knowledge, to share the knowledge with the clients, and then the results will come.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Tadej.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, our star of SIDA, Ionuț.
Come on.
Okay, Ionuț,
thank you
I know
again.
that you started a bit talking about remote work and like the whole experience in general. So I would love to hear you elaborate on that and maybe some other aspects of it as well.
Yeah, I want to start talking about the always measuring mindset. So I'll start by saying that I was really curious that my managing partner says, if you don't have systems and methods in place by now in your business, don't wait. Implement or build it now. It's not going to be easy, but without it, it's going to be close to impossible to manage business effectively. Now, both of us, me and my business partner, have unsuccessfully felt the 2008 financial crisis. And today we can see both differences and similarities when it comes to pains and gains for the business. Now, what we've taken out of the 2008 experience is that during a crisis, all systems are put to the test. Now, all hands should be on deck. Everything that we've anticipated in times of peace and serenity that can go wrong will most probably do. So on the other hand, fear and anticipation can lead to a lot of avoidable mistakes. And I remember a Kung Fu master teaching a young pupil a defensive tactic, now telling him to act only at the exact moment when the opponent strikes. A second too soon, and the opponent will slightly change the approach. A little too late, and well, we all know what happens. Now, working collaboratively is essential to our work, and we've realized this early on. We've used cloud initially, moved to Dropbox very early, then we used it together with Google Docs, getting the best out of both. Now, today, we're combining this passive collaboration with a task management solution and agile project management software that we have also designed for the agency's flow. And we have brought working together and managing the activity at a higher level, let's say superior. Now, this has been a tremendous help for us because exactly like one of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we've sharpened the saw. And this was exactly what we needed. So in a culture with the software ecosystem and skills built to help maintain and improve performance, the whole team is prone to self-evaluation and ongoing optimization. And how does that help? Well, if you can measure it, you can improve it. So we as a business have the data to give us a good understanding and the ability to build a reasonable action plan based on that data, not on feeling. And this way, get the best results in times of crisis. Now, we analyze everything from team performance, time spent by every team member on task, time spent on every product and project, quality of tasks done by team members, by client, and for a certain task category. We know instantaneously what is the current load and what the team is working on at this moment. It surprised us a little to see an increase in team productivity with a little over 20% during the COVID-19 pandemic. So on the money side, we keep a close eye on the money that is promised to come in. We monitor it and update it if any change takes place. There's no secret that the money can come in from ongoing business, the current client portfolio. So for that reason, attrition rate must be closely monitored. The new business activity was also as high priority as the latter. We needed to look at all the clients that we could reactivate. The amount of invoices that were promised need to be closely monitored because it lets us know how and if the business can go on. We also look into account to take the account payment capabilities of the past, future, and present clients and even grade them. Now, we needed to keep a closer eye on how the actual money was coming in. Now, how many of those promises became reality? And most important, how fast was that happening, and how fast was happening compared to our regular past experience pre-pandemic? Now, going for fast cash in, even with the help of some discounts, looked like a good strategy, as the future was and is still uncertain. Now, we need to make sure the money is in the bank. And on that product side, we need to understand how the campaigns are performing on the product side. We have built-in report systems that let us and the customers know how their campaigns, budgets, or performance is going, and what are the most important issues that need to be dealt with. Now, we have seen intention-based advertising working best, even from the start of the pandemic. And from within, we saw a huge increase in conversions generated by Google shopping ads, product listing ads, due to the demand for specific products. On the other hand, Facebook ads and social advertising came with a decrease in conversions. We think that it was due to all the messages that were placed on social media, in most cases negative, inspiring fear and uncertainty. And this did not encourage the users to click on sales ad. And most of all, did not encourage people to buy something that they didn't see as essential. Now, we have seen that users weren't in a discovery mood anymore. So the awareness and consideration phases of the customer journey, like Zbigniew said, have collapsed into the conversion state. Now, this made them buy from almost any shop, no matter the brand, or no matter so much the brand, where they could find the product. So product availability became top. Now, a lot of our customers stopped for a while every initiative that was related to brand building and awareness and focused their resources on conversion and loyalty. Now, still on the client side, due to the lockdown, most of the customers that were not an e-commerce business had a decrease in demand, activity, and conversions. On the other hand, the e-commerce businesses that had a strong offline presence in shopping malls, showrooms, saw a huge increase in online sales, as much as 300%. Now, businesses focus their attention on the basic needs of their business, but it surprised us that many of businesses try to expand their range in order to cover more demand. I know, trying to transform the pandemic into an opportunity for their shops was by adding different products. Now, one more second, and then I'll let you finish, Marta. Okay, so we know all of this because we can measure everything. So this is about measurement, about monitoring. So since forever, we have worked with CRM software, task management software, and more, which made our business life easier. That's it. That's me.
Thank you. Now I can put more of you on the screen. And now I think it will be the perfect time for the question. We don't have a lot of time, but I also don't see a lot of questions, but maybe now you can write if you have anything to add or comment. I can see greetings from Radim. So yeah. Let's wait a minute. But guys, in general, I think that the whole message and communication is pretty positive. So that's good. Let's wait. Maybe everything was so clear for the audience that there are no questions.
Well, we can ask each other, you know.
Yeah, but we are running out of time a bit, so.
All right.
How are you, Ionuț? We can ask each other.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, okay. So if there is no question at this point, so I would like to thank first of all our guests for their time, and it was great to pick your brains. And for me personally, it was really thought-provoking. So thank you for that. But also thanks to our audience for your attention and being with us. Well, I can see that the future is still a bit clouded and vague for us, but all we can do, I guess, is also arm ourselves with patience, smile, and just hope for the best. So guys, thank you one more time. And regarding the next Bluerank on Air webinar, stay tuned. We will be talking about strategy. So yeah, I think we're good to go. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Stay safe and sound. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bluerank, for
Bye.
inviting us.